Hello everyone, and welcome to the practice log. I know in the last video I said that I was going to have um, a way better set in the next video, and here it is. It is still ugly as heck. Yeah, it's not much better, but it's coming along. Hey, we got some decorative mattresses, and also the lighting might be kind of weird because I just got these two light board things for Black Friday because they were pretty cheap, and I don't really know how to use them. Like, I've been messing with different settings of how bright they are, how warm they are, how cold they are, and all that to try and get it look right. But I find that if I have them turned up too high, I look really washed out, and if I have them turned down pretty low, then it just looks really strange. So if there's anyone who actually knows how to work these things, please let me know in the comments so that my lighting isn't cooked. But anyway, my set aside, what is this? Well, this is the practice log. So first up, I'm going to talk about something like a musical concept or respond to some questions, something like that. And then I'll talk about what I've been practicing on old banjo here. That's not the banjo's actual name, by the way. Just a humorous pet name. But yeah, what I want to talk about today, because I don't really have any questions. I didn't see any questions in the comments, although I didn't go over them before I watched the video, so I might have some. Yeah, I'll go over them before the next video. So if you have a question, don't freak out that I'm not answering in this one. But what I want to talk about today is different interpretations of jazz onto the banjo, because there have been several pretty interesting ones. And what I'm talking about here is not like before bebop jazz. I'm talking about post bop soloing over jazz changes in jazz songs. Not like, I know everyone knows banjo used to be a pretty common instrument in jazz, but it was the 4-string banjo, and they played it with a single pick, and it was just an accompanying instrument. It wasn't they never soloed with it, to my knowledge. I could be wrong on that. But then it kind of faded out of jazz, and 5-string banjo has never been a thing in jazz until pretty recently, when a couple of bluegrass players have tried to mold it into jazz. And what prompted this was someone commented, I don't remember who, I don't have my phone to look at the comments, but someone commented, you know who you are, commented that I should look at Pat Cloud's stuff when I'm trying to learn jazz. And hey, I have. This is Pat Cloud's book, Straight Ahead Jazz for Banjo, which I know he has another book. I have that one as well. I've had this for a few years now, and well, you know what? We'll talk about Pat in a little bit, because I want to start at the beginning. A very good place to start. So, when did the 5-string banjo first getting into jazz? Now, if I'm not mistaken, that pretty much started with Bill Keith, where Bill Keith started adapting jazz songs onto the 5-string banjo. And he did this in melodic style because he was Bill Keith, and they're very cool. Like, he has a recording of Autumn Leaves. I know he probably has a couple more jazz songs, but they're all really cool, all really awesome. The problem with Bill Keith's style is that since he did them in melodic, he was restricted to keys that had open strings, and a lot of jazz songs are in keys that do not work well with the open strings that we have, G, D, and B, right? Those 3 notes are only in so many keys. Like a very common jazz key is E flat, which doesn't really work super well with melodic style. I don't even know how that would work. Let me try. Yeah, no, in E flat we have no open strings because the E flat major scale is. So trying to do that in melodic would be like. That just doesn't make much sense. Why you would go from to do that instead of. I mean, I can see applications for that, but just as a general language, that's It's really hard to do with E flat. So anyway, there were a lot of limitations with the melodic style trying to play in jazz because of the keys that are used. And Bill Keith did that with several tunes, and it worked great, which you can do, but it's hard to do convincing jazz soloing in most keys with just melodic stuff. After Bill Keith kind of came Pat Cloud, which the recommendation for him kind of spurred this whole conversation. And what Pat Cloud did was he tried to overcome the key sensitivity issue with melodic style playing. So Pat tried to devise a method. Maybe this is totally wrong. I don't know, but this is kind of what I've read from his books. This is what makes sense to me. What he was trying to do. He tried to make a method where you could play melodic style in every key, which was very admirable. What he tried to do and tabbed out was really cool and has a lot of application. But in my mind, a lot of what is in this book, I can't speak for his whole method, but a lot of what is in this book and the other book with his melodic style playing in all 12 keys is very use specific, where I definitely want to study that book more. I've studied it quite a bit in the past. I learned all of the scales and did most of the exercises in the book. I can't remember much of it now because I didn't study it hard enough. I need to in the future. A lot of it is very much useful for a single thing and not really conducive for creating a language on the instrument that you can draw on when you're improvising, because it's pretty much, you have all your intervals, you have the scales in melodic style, and with melodic style you kind of just go up or down by step, and it's hard to make big interval leaps, and it's really hard to get that language in your head because it's so esoteric of where it is on the neck. You just have to memorize every position. There's very little like logical extrapolation of where various notes are, because you have a scale and it's kind of hard to see on the fretboard. And if you practice it enough, you're going to overcome that for sure. I have not practiced it enough to overcome that, so maybe I'm speaking, putting the cart before the horse. But to me, later players came up with more intuitive methods which make creating a language on the instrument for yourself a lot, I don't even want to say easier, because I don't think either one of them is harder or easier. It's just the positions that later players came up with or discovered, I guess, can just be moved to form the new keys. You don't have very specific different fingerings for every single key, which is really hard to play freely with. If you have a different language for every single key, your playing is going to sound so different, and nothing is going to transfer between the keys. And I don't know, it was just so specific to each key that it kind of turned me off of it. In the future, I'm definitely going to come back to that book, Straight Ahead Jazz, and his other one, and study it a lot more. But right now, I just want to build a solid language in every single key, instead of trying to get them all worked out in every individual key, and I have to learn different melodic structures for every key. It's just very esoteric, and I think it's super useful in certain situations, but I don't think it's the best way to go about learning an improvisational language that you can apply to the instrument. Not to say that Pat Cloud's method is bad or anything. I just think it's more constrained than you want to play jazz music. And then after Pat Cloud came, that was kind of when Bela Fleck broke out onto the scene. And what Bela did is, instead of going down the melodic route, Bela really devised a single string technique and structure all over the map that he could use. And what Bela does a lot is sort of positional single string playing, which is where he just kind of sticks in one place, and he'll go up and down the neck, but a lot of it is just within a certain box. Then he shifts between boxes, and he plays it in the single string method, which is a lot easier to work out in every key than melodic stuff, right? That's what I was talking about, where he has one major scale shape that you can put on any fret to make every single key, right? And it goes all the way up and down the neck, and you can just shift which frets it's on to get different keys, which is so much easier than having to learn 24 different major scale positions with melodic. Um, and then within the framework of that single string pattern, he throws in melodic stuff. He throws in rolling Scruggs patterns and all that. And that makes a lot more sense to me, to have that map on the fretboard of where all the notes are, and then you can throw in melodic stuff when you want to and when it's applicable, instead of having your whole language be just the melodic stuff. So Bela really did a lot figuring that out. And then after Bela, there have been other jazz players, but the real standout is Ryan Kavanaugh. Ryan really took the single string thing and just blew it into outer space. His technique is crazy. What he can do with it is insane. And that was kind of really the new frontier with jazz playing, was just insanely fast single string stuff, which is really cool. I love that. I'm trying to get to that point. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it as fast as Ryan, probably not, but get to that point with the single string stuff. And then I want to start throwing in all the Pat Cloud melodic stuff, all the Bill Keith melodic stuff, and not just have it be a guitar with a different tuning, right? Because if you're just doing the single string stuff, it's kind of just like a more limited guitar, right? I feel like you need to do banjo stuff when you're playing banjo, and not a ton of that fits into jazz, but the stuff that does, I think it can be cool. So anyways, my goal with all of that is to take all of those different methods with jazz banjo playing, from Pat Cloud's melodic stuff to Bela's fusion to Ryan's just like pure single string stuff, and kind of take the bits and pieces that I like and then make my own language, right, that kind of involves elements of all of that and is just musical, because that's what it's all about, right? It's just making music. It's not like which technique you use. So anyway, those are kind of my thoughts on the history of putting post-bop jazz onto the 5-string banjo. Pretty limited history because not many people have done it, so very exploratory waters right now, but it's cool, and I'm enjoying figuring it out. So let's actually talk about practice, shall we? So practice. I've been practicing basically the same two things, Autumn Leaves and Sugar Maple. They're both not sounding too good. But I've also been working on just improvising over Big Sciota. So maybe I'll do Big Sciota real quick, and then I can play Autumn Leaves, and then I'll play Sugar Maple, and then we'll wrap it up. I had to go get my phone to get a backing track, because it seems a little bit lame to just play it without a backing track going. So let's put it at 110 BPM. That's a little slow for Big Sciota, but whatever. I've just been working on it today. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'll just put it on my knee, so hopefully it'll be audible. I should figure out a better way to do this. Whatever.
1, 2, 3, 4.
crazy about that, but that was pretty much all improv, which honestly crazy how far I've come with like improvising over fiddle tunes in the last year. I could not have done that that fluidly just a few months ago. So happy with it, but also I would like to stick to the melody more. That was just a lot of like chordal stuff there, which could have been back up like lots of melody, but a lot of that is just like honestly, I'm kind of happy with that. Yeah, glad where I'm at with that for now. Autumn Leaves. Autumn Leaves is a very different kind of improv, but we'll try it out. Okay, Autumn Leaves. Let's see how I'm coming on this. Okay, wasn't crazy about that, but hey, that's way better than I could have done 2 weeks ago. So, baby steps, right? You get better at things slowly, right? There are very few giant leaps, and this was not a giant leap, but I'm happy with how far I've come. So, last thing is sugar maple, which honestly has been really kicking my butt. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've not been super happy with how I've been playing it, so I've played it well a few times and been really happy with those, but so much happens. It's just really a workout for the left hand. So, all right, let's just go for it. Okay, that's all I have so far, and it's sounding pretty bad. Honestly, like my fingers feel really dry, which is making it harder. Because they feel like stuck to the strings. So with all these slides and stuff, it's really an issue. Like my fingers don't feel like they're sliding. So anyway, that one's coming along slower than Autumn Leaves, but it's still coming. I think I'm just gonna work on that section until I have it down pretty smooth. This part here, it's he does that so fast. I'm not sure how. I'm still working on it. I'm nowhere. That's the only thing where it needs more than just like polishing, right? Is this? I just he does that so fast. Okay, I'm almost getting it there. So anyway, got to keep working on that. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, make sure to like and subscribe, so that I can afford to get these decorative mattresses out of here, because even if they're decorative, they still kind of look like trash. If you want banjo lessons, my email's in the description. It's mackplaysbanjo@gmail.com. I'll teach you, even if you're a complete beginner. That's great. Love complete beginners. And go check out my Instagram. And I guess we'll call it here then. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.